It's IndyCar Race Day in the Motor City, the debut weekend for the return to downtown Detroit, and the shadow of the General Motors Renaissance Center continues with the next generation of IndyCar stars. It's time for Indy Next by Firestone. Welcome to downtown Detroit. Kevin Lee along with Charlie Kimball on a perfect Sunday afternoon with temperatures in the low 70s, not even reaching 80 degrees today, cooler than the last couple of days. And this is the second half of an Indy Next doubleheader, one of two this season. Today it's round 5 of 14, and to put it mildly, race 1 yesterday was very eventful. We go to the start with a pair of teammates. On the front row yesterday, Louis Foster, who swept the weekend in qualifying. Hunter McElroy starting second, right behind him, heading into this hairpin, starting on the backstretch into turn 3. And Charlie, that's where it all goes wrong.
Takes out our pole setter, Louis Foster. It looked like it was going to plan for Andretti Autosport, and then it all goes wrong in braking for turn 3.
McElroy was penalized, a stop and go, so Reese Gold inherits the lead. And meanwhile, Jamie Rowe and Daniel Frost come together. Frost not happy. He was on a big charge. And we had great battles throughout the day between Reese Gold in the yellow car and that black and green car, Nolan Siegel.
Reese Gold does a good job protecting the inside. Nolan tries to go the long way around. Can't get it done on this lap, but later in the race is able to clear Reese Gold. Gets just far enough ahead that he can hold the line. Picks up the inside preferred overtaking line into turn 4. Drives away to a 5-second gap at that point.
That came with 7 to go, and this is with 2 corners to go in the race. Gold's gap evaporates. He's got a mechanical trying to coast to the finish, and Reese Gold is there to capitalize with Jagger Jones and Ernie Francis Jr. right there. And another 18-year-old inherits the lead. Heartbreak for Nolan Siegel. Reese Gold is now a first-time winner in Indy Next by Firestone, and it is a brand new podium. First win for Gold, first podiums for Jagger Jones and Ernie Francis Jr., and great days for Jacob Abel, Anam Ahmed, Christian Bogle, and more. All right, let's head down to the grid and check in with Georgia Henneberry.
Good afternoon, Charlie and Kevin. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows yesterday with the Indy Next by Firestone with these two drivers, Reese Gold and Nolan Siegel. And Nolan, disappointing for sure, but is it any more relieving to know that you get to do it all over again today in this doubleheader?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, that was about the worst that a day can be in racing, to be that close. But we know that we have a car to win. We know that we have the pace, and we did everything right. So all we have to do is do that again, and I'm really looking forward to getting back out there today.
What was the diagnosis?
It was a drive shaft that broke, and really nothing that the team could have done. Everyone did a perfect job. All the mechanics, my engineer, literally a perfect day other than just a freak mechanical failure. So really, really looking forward to doing it again, and I think we have another shot at a win today.
And Nolan Siegel is going to roll off third, and Reese Gold capturing his first Indy Next by Firestone win yesterday. I'm sure that those emotions were just overwhelming for you.
Yeah, it was definitely overwhelming. Again, props to Nolan. He ran a good race, and that sucks to end like that. So, I was going to be content with second because it was been a rough start of the season, but, a win's a win. So I'm happy for the team and for the ticket clinic and everyone supporting me to get the win.
What did you and the team do last night to capitalize on that win and ensure that you end up front today?
Yeah, we didn't touch much because the car was pretty good. There's some things I need to work on, but we have a good spot. Nolan started here yesterday, so I think it'll be good.
And that is Reese Gold, and he's going to roll off fourth. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Charlie, Kevin.
And it's a little bit of a mixed-up grid as well today. 2 separate qualifying sessions we'll get to in just a moment. That was moments ago. Drivers are strapped in, and we're just about ready to go for the second half of the doubleheader in Detroit.
Start your engines!
19 future IndyCar driver hopefuls ready to go on these treacherous streets in downtown Detroit with no room for error. Great day yesterday for Cape Motorsports, 2 in the top 5. 4 different winners in 4 races. Ukos Hollinger is one of them. And we roll down this really unique pit lane and check out the starting lineup for race number 2. Louis Foster, pole for both races, did this one in unique style. He actually hit the wall, bent the suspension, still stayed on it, and won his 3rd pole of the season. But yesterday finished only 19th. Christian Rasmussen is also going to start on the front row today.
And then in row 2, it's our contenders from yesterday. Nolan Siegel with that drive shaft failure, just 2 corners from the finish. He ended up rolling, coasting across the line in 8th, but thinks he's got a car to win today. Reese Gold picking up his 1st win. He was there, he was smart when Nolan made that pass.
Hunter McElray salvaged a 7th out of yesterday after the early penalty. And Ernie Francis Jr., broken wrist and all surgery 5 weeks ago, gets his first podium in Indy NXT, coming home 3rd in race 1.
And in row 4, a couple of drivers that had days to forget yesterday. 16th for Colin Kaminsky, 18th for Daniel Frost. Those 2 drivers looking to rebound from a rough day.
Jacob Abel has been good on the streets, 3rd at St. Pete, 4th yesterday. Tied for 3rd in points, and Anam Ahmed with his 2nd top 5 of his rookie season.
James Rowe spent most of the race with a broken front wing, slid back to finish 10th. Yesterday, he starts inside of row 6. Outside of row 6, Rasmus Lind in the other Junkos Hollinger racing car.
Toby Sowery was moving forward from 19th yesterday, but had issues and did not finish. And Jamie Chadwick had a really strong run, good battles. Inside the top 10, finished 11th.
Inside of row 8, Jagger Jones picking up his 1st podium and Cape Motorsports' 1st podium back in the Indy NXT Series. Josh Green outside of row 8, rough day, finishing 15th.
Christian Vogel was impressive yesterday. Season best 6th place finish. And Matteo Nannini, who has the win on the IMS road course, the other 3 results have been at the back.
And Kiffin Simpson starting inside of row 10, 19th. Had a rough day yesterday in 13th, looking to rebound. Those HMD cars have had speed. We've got some issues here before the start. Josh Green in that Zimperium car.
We're told no working transponder, so he's been black flagged. So that's why you see the front wing assembly off to try to address that, and they have very little time to try to get him on the lead lap. Here's how the championship looks now. After today, we'll be a little more than 1/3 of the way in, and wasn't looking that way with, say, 2 corners to go in the race yesterday.
Nolan Siegel would have taken over the championship lead. As it was, Christian Rasmussen bounces back, keeps the championship lead despite only finishing 9th yesterday. Jacob Abel tied with Hunter McElray, 3rd and 4th there. Reese Gold, huge jump in the points with his win after yesterday's race.
I think you can easily say it's 6 or 7 still very much in the championship with the pace that these cars have shown. All right, let's get to Kimball's Keys for race 2.
We saw yesterday it's about getting to the finish line with a running car. You've got to take care of your equipment. It's rough, the walls are tight, there are a lot of other cars out there. If you can protect your equipment, finish the race. The top 6 cars yesterday had really no issues, and that's what it takes to get up front, stay up front, and finish on the podium.
Gonna go green this time. Josh Green is rolling off the pit lane, so he will start on the lead lap at the back of the field, but not a chance to warm up the tires. Front row, ready to go. Race 2 from Detroit. Rasmussen on the outside. The pole sitter is Louis Foster, hoping for much better today. They are lined up in the first 4 rows, but not throughout the field, and the start is waved off.
So race control will wave that off if they think the people aren't lined up enough, or it's a little too slow or a little too fast. The speed looked about right, but there were quite a few stragglers towards the back. They like to see, especially with 19 cars, they like to see 6, 7, 8 rows lined up 2 by 2.
Benefit for Josh Green, who is going to be playing catch up on very cold tires. He doesn't lose that much time. He was going to start 16th anyway, but now, Georgia, he's got a chance to fight in this race.
He sure does. Josh Green made his way to pit lane. Indy NXT by Firestone officials told them the transponder not working, so they took that front wing assembly off, checked all the connections, but everything looks good on their end. So unfortunate start to Josh Green. He has just been black flagged again, so he will be coming to pit lane, and we'll get more updates as they go.
So not fixed at this point.
That's frustrating for a driver. You know there's opportunity starting from the back with the drama that this race can bring, the opportunity to come through. They're still telling him what's going on, and he's down. I believe he's come into pit lane to try and get it fixed as we re-rack and go for another start.
So they need to line up quite quickly here as they get onto the long straightaway. Jefferson Avenue here in downtown Detroit. It's Foster on the inside. Rasmussen, the championship leader, on the outside. Siegel, Gold, who fought for the win yesterday in row 2. We are green. Race 2 in Detroit is go.
Louis Foster in that same position, leading the way into turn 3. Christian Rasmussen trying to go the long way around the outside. So far clean. Where'd they go?
The two up front might have made contact, and Nolan Siegel is in front. Foster falls back to second, and then the front wing has gone by Ernie Francis Jr. He made contact.
Louis Foster having trouble making that apex in turn 3, pushing Christian Rasmussen wide. Nolan Siegel, they're still 2x2 through these concrete canyons.
That's Anam Ahmed in that white car in the inside, going side by side with the green and white car of Toby Sowery, and I think they made it through.
These drivers did not settle down much overnight. We'll see how it all plays out. A little bit of contact. Ernie Francis Jr. had contact on his front wing, bouncing off each other, bouncing off walls. We still have 43 laps to go.
Just saw Jamie Chadwick in the back of that yellow and red DHL car dive into pit lane. How much damage does Francis have in the Force Indy HMD car? Meanwhile, Siegel went from 3rd to 1st. Heartbreak yesterday. He's going to have another chance on Sunday.
Kiffin Simpson with damage coming into pit lane. We see in the inset there, they'll change that front wing assembly and hopefully he can get back out and stay on the lead lap.
Here's a move inside for Rasmussen, trying to overtake Foster. They make side-by-side contact. Rasmussen gets the spot. McElray is coming now. They came together yesterday. These are Andretti teammates back there fighting for 3rd. Foster stays in front for that 3rd position.
I can only imagine the conversation in the Andretti truck after that race and before today's race. If I'm Hunter McElray, I'm giving him a little extra room after his penance for yesterday. Ernie Francis Jr.'s front wing seems to be holding on for the moment. We saw yesterday James Rowe spent a lot of the race with half a front wing, was able to do all right. He said he wore that right front tire out in the second half of the race, though.
Ernie Francis Jr. had to climb from near the back to get up to his podium position yesterday. This is his best start in 6th. He's moved up a position to 5th, but he does have damage.
The interesting question is, do you stay out and try and soldier on for the remaining 42 laps, or do you come down pit lane early, get it fixed, hope there's a yellow, and try and rebound that way?
Foster working on Rasmussen for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all there together. Siegel is up by a 1.5 seconds, but let's go back to the start of this race with Rasmussen and Foster going side by side. It was the exit of the hairpin, running wide. Foster trying to pinch him off, and Siegel says, "Thank you very much, I'll squeeze right through."
Louis Foster, thinking about defending from Christian Rasmussen, forgot that yesterday's near winner, Nolan Siegel, starting in 3rd, climbs through, and they're still trying to go side by side, fit through there. Those 2 yellow and black cars, Reese Gold and Colin Kaminsky, 2 different teams, very similar color schemes.
And there we see what happened to Jamie Chadwick and Kiffin Simpson. Simpson got into the back of Chadwick, and there's contact with the 2 front row starters a couple of different times.
That's lap 3, excuse me, coming into turn 3. Christian Rasmussen goes late up the inside, leans on him, doesn't want to get too wide. As Louis Foster trying to finish the corner, finds there's a car in his way.
And that contact we saw with Simpson and Chadwick is under review. Back live now. Up at the front, Colin Kaminsky in the Slicklocks car working on Daniel Frost. Kaminsky stays in front.
You can can see there's so much more rubber down today between IndyCar qualifying yesterday, IndyCar warm-up this morning, the IMSA race last night, the Trans Am race this morning. This brand new street circuit is starting to rubber in and grip up. I wouldn't be surprised to see some really fast lap times out of these cars as we get into the second half of the race.
There are not pit stops in any next races, but yet Georgia pit lane has been very busy early.
Pit lane has been chaotic early in this Indy Next by Firestone race. We just saw Josh Green pulled away once again following those transponder issues. Kiffin Simpson just pulled away as well. He had a new front wing assembly put on, and Jamie Chadwick also in on pit lane. She's getting a new rear wing.
We saw Kiffin Simpson letting the field go by there. He is multiple laps down. So that's what he's going to do, is just simply try to learn and not impact any of the leaders' races.
That's Matteo Nannini coming in for a new front wing, new right front tire. Oh, we got contact.
Jacob Abel.
Reese Gold.
And Reese Gold, and Abel prevails in this one. And Reese Gold is going the wrong way. Abel in the red and white Abel construction car. Jagger Jones will get by Reese Gold. They were both on the podium. They finished 1-2 yesterday. Right now they are 13th and 14th. There's a big wiggle there.
Jagger Jones
by Jones.
Turn 7. This is a late move. Jacob Abel gets into the side with his right front. Pushes Reese Gold wide. I think the stewards will have a look at that. That was late into the corner, was not wheel to wheel with that contact. Reese Gold, he's just trying to find the steering wheel at that point. Ernie Francis Jr. slides into the runoff there in turn 1, loops it back around, gets back on track.
But is going to lose positions. Francis was running 5th not long ago. Now he's back in 13th. There he is. And remember, he's got that damaged front wing. Gold. Looks like the car might be okay. He's trying to make a move here. Well, I maybe have said that too quickly because he doesn't look like he has a lot of pace. Christian Bogle is going to overtake him in that Pelican Energy number 7 car.
The gap up front has shrunk dramatically. Christian Rasmussen, a lot of people thought would be the breakaway championship leader this year. He's closed right up to the back of Nolan Siegel, and you can see, watch how busy his hands are. It's really rough through these streets. It's a little like riding a motocross bike over a whoop section. You're kind of in the air, bouncing a lot. He's really looking to get the nose of the car into the corner, get on the throttle early, and he's still chasing the rear. You don't want it to step out too much because the outside rear will tag the wall. You'll bend a toe link. He's only half a second behind Nolan Siegel here. See if he's on overtake and able to make a move into turn 3. This is the best passing spot, but it's easy to defend because it's a little smoother on the inside than on the outside, the preferred arc through the corner.
Rasmussen is faster, though. His best lap is more than 0.3 of a second faster than Siegel.
We saw yesterday Reese Gold absorb a lot of pressure from Nolan Siegel. Now the shoe's on the other foot. We'll see if Nolan Siegel can absorb the pressure from the second-year Indy Next driver, Christian Rasmussen.
Look at these cockpit shots. It looks violent in the car.
It is rough. And you can see it from the outside. You see how the rear wings bounce, the front wheels are up in the air. And you can hear with the concrete, you can hear those Firestone tires screaming for grip through the corner.
The HMD team still continues to address Josh Green's transponder. He did get on track briefly, black flagged again. Jamie Chadwick had to visit pit lane. She's back out, may simply just be letting the leaders pass her by. She is multiple laps down.
Christian Rasmussen locking up that right front. As a driver, I'm thinking, if I'm in Christian's spot, thinking about paying attention to where Nolan Siegel is quick, where he's likely to make some mistakes, but keep the pressure on him, take care of my tires, maybe save some overtake. It's not unlimited. Save some overtake for later in the race and pounce if Nolan makes a mistake. But Christian keeps locking up those right fronts and hurting that Firestone tire. He's going to lose grip. And Louis Foster right behind him isn't falling back too far either.
So we saw that contact earlier between Kiffin Simpson and Jamie Chadwick. They both had to visit pit lane, and Simpson has been deemed responsible. He is 3 laps down, so it's not going to really impact him that much, but it will be a stop and hold for 30 seconds, we are told, for Kiffin Simpson.
And one of the reasons the stewards will hand out stop and goes or stop and holds versus a drive-through here in Detroit is it's a really unique pit lane, a split pit lane for the Indy cars with 27 cars on the grid for the IndyCar race. And so it's very short. So even on pit lane speed limit, you don't lose much time going through pit lane. So a stop and go makes it more of a penalty.
Jagger Jones working on a spot. Ernie Francis Jr. also in there, still dealing with that front wing damage. Jones looked like he was going to be able to challenge Lind for a moment.
Missed the apex. You get wide and out of the groove, and it's still really slippery out there.
Really big day, I think, yesterday for Jagger Jones, the entire Cape Motorsports team. It's a big jump, as we've talked about, for Jagger, skipping a level, second year in Formula Cars, moving to this level, and the same for Cape Motorsports. We know they're competent. They dominated the championships in USF 2000 and had success over a decade ago in this series, but it had been a while, and we wondered if a new layout might be the equalizer, and it looks like it was yesterday because the Cape cars had good pace and both in the top 5. Here's the stop and hold for Kiffin Simpson.
That official taps the mechanic on the back. That'll be the sign that he has served his 30-second stop and hold. He'll be released to rejoin the race.
Meanwhile, up front, they are packed up here with Siegel, Rasmussen, Foster, McElray. Championship continues to be tight as well. Georgia.
We'll have an Indy Next by Firestone graduate and NTT IndyCar Series driver Kyle Kirkwood on your Andretti pit box supporting your teammates here. But is there anything in particular that you're looking for during this race?
Mostly looking at the start there. There's 19 cars in this, and I'll be starting 12th later on, so I'm kind of looking in that little range. Given that these cars are just a little bit smaller, it's a little bit different, but you at least get a feel of what happens. And so far, it looks like the outside does not work in turn 3. So unfortunately, or it might be fortunate that I'm starting on the outside and maybe I can get to the inside. So that's kind of the key tips that you're looking for in these things. Obviously, the first few laps was a bit of carnage there. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't look like that. But no, this place is starting to produce some good racing now that the grip's getting laid down.
Well, best of luck to you. Kyle Kirkwood's going to roll off 12th in the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix a little bit later today.
I mentioned yesterday, I thought we'd have a lot of interested spectators watching Peacock, and every IndyCar driver I spoke to referenced, yeah, we were watching the Indy Next race to see how that was going to play out. The 51 and the 10 are under review from recent, so
that's the Colin Kaminsky and Reese Gold incident from a few laps ago that we saw. I think they're looking, the stewards are looking. Oh, that's Jacob Abel.
If it's the 51, we saw them make contact a few laps ago.
Yeah, so Jacob Abel is under review. I'm not sure what that's about.
Right here, you're looking at the battle for 11th position. Rasmus Lind, green and black. Huko's Hollinger car. Jagger Jones in the Cape Motorsports Total Sim and Meekum Auctions car. And Ernie Francis Jr. was running in top 5, but front wing damage now, trying to just score as many points as he can in 13th. And, oh, by the way, good chance there's going to be more attrition, so hang in there as long as you can. If it were to go yellow, you might think about diving in for a fresh front wing to be able to make up some spots.
Especially if it's before halfway. But I'm really impressed with Jagger Jones here. We talked about his podium yesterday. He's done a really nice job skipping a level on the ladder. He knew these cars were going to be fast, and a new adaptation, a new team. Cape Motorsports coming back to the Indy Next series. He's done a great job, and here, I mean, he started 15th and he's up to 12th, challenging for 11th. It looks like he has top 10 pace, just needs to find a way past Rasmus Lind directly in front of him in that Juncos Hollinger, the green and black car right in front of Jagger Jones.
All right, Ernie Francis Jr. has given up the fight to try to limp home with that damage, so they are going to make the change now and hope to stay on the lead lap. hope to get a caution to be able to catch back up.
These four all running up front, fairly status quo. Nolan Siegel about a second ahead of Christian Rasmussen. Just settled in. You know, we're not even halfway through. We're not even a third of the way through this race. Just settling in to see how their car is, how their tires hold on, where they're strong, where they're weaker. Just feeling each other out. Hunter McElroy looking at Louis Foster, and again, I think when he makes the move, or if he makes a move on his teammate Louis Foster, it's got to be absolutely clean after yesterday's incident.
McElroy takes a peek here. No opportunity. By the way, no action is going to be taken on the contact between Jacob Abel and Reese Gold. So Abel maintains his 7th place position. Gold has some work to do after winning yesterday, running in 14th. McElroy, Foster, 3rd and 4th right now. Up ahead, you saw the black car of Christian Rasmussen. Nolan Siegel up by over a second or so. And now Jagger Jones has damage.
That's big contact in the wall. That's at turn 2 leading on to Jefferson Avenue. He stopped. We're gonna have to go full course yellow here. Ernie Francis might be the biggest beneficiary of this because he is still on the lead lap.
Oh, such a good weekend for Jagger Jones going after finishing 2nd, qualifying well over the weekend, showing legitimate pace. And here's what happened in race number 2.
So this is turn 1 into turn 2. Does he hit that inside wall? Nope, the car just takes off, he corrects it, and that puts the right front in the wall. That right rear slid. At that point, you're either gonna hit with the right rear or the right front.
So first caution of the day, 1/3 of the way into this second half of the doubleheader. Almost got it saved.
And that's the challenge, because he's thinking, I've got to get a good exit out of turn 2 to get a run on Rasmus Lindh. Best passing opportunities down into turn 3. Just on the throttle a little too soon, spins up those Firestone tires at the rear, slides, corrects, contact.
We mentioned Ernie Francis Jr. was a big beneficiary to be able to stay in contention. And let's listen to some radio traffic from the 99 car a moment ago.
I mean, I kept locking at brakes. I don't know why. I don't know if it's front wing or not. Just putting rear bias to it, but it keeps locking front.
Go ahead and reset here with this front wing. Pretty damaged.
So we think that was before they made the change. That was a little while ago. And debating whether you'd want to stay on and just try to maintain position, because if that caution doesn't come, he's more than a half a lap down. But I like that call from his standpoint. Let's face it, he's missed a race because of injury. He's not really in championship contention. He needs to learn. And let's let him learn with a proper race car and run good laps today.
And that conversation with his team happened in pit lane while they were changing the front wing. He didn't realize, because you can't see the front of these cars from the cockpit, he didn't realize how bad that front wing was damaged.
Okay.
So he was adjusting the bias, trying to help himself.
Yep.
And they said, look, it was really damaged. Reset to where you think it should be. We'll reset, see what we can get at it today. You know, he's back in 14th. He's still on the lead lap. I mean, there's 29 laps to go. There is everything to play for yet.
Oh, there's definitely a chance to move up some positions in this race. And I fear there might be another caution at some point. So this is the first of a pair of double headers on the season for INDY NXT by Firestone. The season will close that way, deciding the championship at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. You're coming up in a couple of weeks at Road America, one of the classic road courses virtually every weekend. Still got Mid-Ohio to come after that. Portland is going to be near the end of the season. You've got an oval on the way at Iowa Speedway. A similar event to this one with Nashville at Indianapolis on the road course for the second time this season.
That's an event I'm really excited about. It's NASCAR, Xfinity, IndyCar, INDY NXT. It is the top 2 open and closed wheeled series here in North America, all on the same weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And a second oval coming up. NASCAR is at Worldwide Technology Raceway this week at Gateway outside St. Louis. And IndyCar will be there this summer as well, along with INDY NXT. Let's check in with the number 10 HMD car of Reese Gold.
Whatever you changed on that last green flag lap was much better in turn 3, so just think about that, okay? We're losing time. We're losing about a 10th exiting turn 7 and just under a 10th in turn 2, so just keep chipping away at it.
A little bit of coaching there. These teams have all of the timing and scoring data that the IndyCar teams have to look at. They're able to look at the different sector times and coach their drivers during the course of the race. And they'll be able to share that information, look at that time, pass it along to the drivers, and try and help them as much as they can.
And it's still going to be a moment before the number 98 Cape Motorsports car of Jagger Jones is cleared from the racetrack. This is exit of turn 2, Jefferson Avenue. Very busy street here in downtown Detroit, leading down to that long straightaway in the hairpin in turn 3.
I saw that the mayor of Detroit upped the speed limit on Jefferson Avenue for this weekend only to 200 miles an hour, so these guys should stay legal during the course of the weekend.
Of course, it is a full day here at the Detroit Grand Prix. IndyCar coming up on NBC, 3 p.m. and here on Peacock. 3:30 is the green flag today, with Alex Palou starting on the pole, and we expect there to be a lot of unknowns, and I guess we expect the unexpected in this race. We talk about pit windows. It's basically anywhere from lap 2 to lap 40 for the first stint, so you're going to see a lot of different strategies, and you might see a surprise today.
Most of those teams and drivers opting to start on the alternate green sidewall Firestone tires. We'll see if they think they can last a full stint, or like on the concrete surface at Belle Isle, if they want to come in and get to those primary tires sooner rather than later. You know, that's the interesting thing to me about Indy NXT by Firestone, is they don't have pit stops. They don't have a change of tires, so they got to take care of their tires for the full 45 laps during the course of this race. You know, and what a great bounce back so far for Nolan Siegel. He honestly should have won despite having a freak mechanical failure with that drive shaft yesterday. He's looking forward to the fact that there's no race next weekend because he is walking in his high school graduation next weekend. Nolan Siegel, 18 years old, he's second in points. If it stays like it is right now, Christian Rasmussen stays in second, Siegel closes that point gap to just 2 points with just over a third of the Indy NXT races done. So really good mental bounce back here for Nolan Siegel. He's been a surprise to me at how well and how quickly he's done this year.
The 18-year-old from Palo Alto is the only driver with multiple podiums, and it really should be 3. He's got a pair of second-place finishes, was on the way to a win 2 corners away before the mechanical. The half shaft broke, lost drive yesterday, but still second in the championship coming into today.
There will be 26 laps. These drivers will go green back on Jefferson Avenue. They will take the checkered on the front straight, which is by pit lane, but like Mid-Ohio and Nashville, they take starts and restarts on the back straight of Jefferson Avenue.
By the way, Josh Green is back on track. He is many laps down, but they have that issue addressed. He has completed 3 laps now and is at the back of the field. All right, ready to restart again as they go up the hill towards turn number 2. Back on the Jefferson Avenue. It's Siegel, Rasmussen, Foster, McElray, Kaminsky in the top 5. Here we go again from Detroit. Big run down into turn 3 in the hairpin. Who has the draft? Who's going to make a dive? Foster thinking about it. Rasmussen looking to the outside. Can he hang on to it? No, Siegel stays in front.
That was a great job. Nolan Siegel not as late on the brakes as he might have needed to be, but able to get the mid-corner speed, keep the position on Christian Rasmussen, hold on to that lead through turns 2, 3, and 4.
Big potential moment in this race for Nolan Siegel, defending on Christian Rasmussen on the restart, and now he's starting to gap just a little bit.
Those tight corners allow for a little bit of breathing room for these drivers, especially the ones up front. As we go on board with Christian Rasmussen, that restart goes to the outside. He's on the grip, rough, gets almost half a car width on Nolan Siegel, but can't get the car turned down. And then he has to start thinking about Louis Foster behind him as we come back to Jefferson Avenue. This will be another shot for Christian Rasmussen.
All things considered, pretty good to be able to maintain second position there. We saw that's how Siegel got the lead at the start. Went from third to first as the two front runners went a little bit wide. Not close enough this time. Maybe thinking about a little bit of an over-under. Further back. No change through the field.
You can hear those Firestone timers squeaking and squawking on the concrete surface as they're locking up, trying to find whatever ounce of grip exists on this new racetrack.
Such a challenging section there, 6 and 7. Headed to 8 right here. This is where it all went wrong for Nolan Siegel yesterday. Lost drive, trying to coast to the finish. Went from first to 8th in a couple of corners.
And a big run from turn 2 to turn 3 down Jefferson Avenue. That's when these drivers will be using this push to pass. And here at Indy NXT, it's about a 50 horsepower boost. You can use it, turn it on and off when you want. There's only 150 seconds total for the whole race. You can only use it for 15 seconds per push, which means a whole length of the straightaway if you want to. Most of these drivers, when they're defending, will use it for a couple of seconds to help the launch out of the corner, get some momentum, and then turn it off at the end as we see the 14 car Toby Sowery going long into the runoff there into turn 3.
He was trying to go around the outside of Jacob Abel for 7, couldn't make it stick, and now he's going to slide to the back.
And again, Ernie Francis Jr. looking really good. He's back up to 12th, which is where he was running, right around where he was running earlier in the race with that broken front wing. So they came in, they changed that front wing, and now he's looking to try and find a way around the 7 HMD car of Christian Bogle. I think Ernie Francis Jr. is one of the more consistent. Okay, he missed the race at the Indianapolis Grand Prix, having broken that wrist at Barber Motorsports Park, having surgery on it, not able to compete. But his finishes this year have been 6th, 8th, and then 3rd yesterday.
This is Kiffin Simpson, who is 4 laps down. He was given a command blue flag, which means you're not on the lead lap, get out of everybody's way, and he does so.
And everyone he's racing long-term over the course of the year will appreciate that move and will hopefully pay back that respect at some point.
So that's why there is a gap in front of Jacob Abel. That's the slot that Kiffin Simpson had. So we'll see what kind of pace Abel has to catch up to Daniel Frost in 6th. Meanwhile, the top 2 in this race are the top 2 in the championship. Just flip the order, but that's how close it is. Christian Rasmussen, who has won 2 championships already, scholarships to reach this level in very impressive fashion in USF 2000, USF Pro 2000. He leads it over Nolan Siegel by just 2, and Hunter McElroy is still within striking distance, even though the season hasn't started as well as he expected. That's Abel and Ahmed right there for 7th and 8th. Inam Ahmed's got a little bit of a run, is going to take a look and try to go around the outside. He is nosed in front. Can he make it stick around? Oh, they're going to touch a little bit as he tries to find the room. Abel is going to sweep back, and then behind we've got 2 cars around. It's Christian Bogle, and it's Rasmus Lind. Bogle is going to lose significant time to get it turned around. Lind is going to continue.
Well, that move by Ahmed was on the sketchy side. He was not clear of Jacob Abel, I would say, here. And he tries to turn into the corner or get in front. I'm not sure exactly what that move was. I think the stewards will look at it. And I'm not sure if there was contact between Christian Bogle and Rasmus Lind, or if Rasmus Lind just spun and caught.
There was. So Bogle looked to the outside. I was watching the second incident. Looked to the outside, came to the inside, really couldn't get it stopped, and the right front of Bogle hit kind of the left rear of Lind there in that circumstance.
Well, now Ahmed lining up for another shot at Jacob Abel. We'll see if he's able to get it done this time.
Same situation, drag race going into 3. He is nosed in front, will try to hold on to the outside. Abel will do what he can to make him go the long way around, and Jacob Abel maintains that position. By the way, the 7 and the 76, Bogle and Lynn, is being reviewed. Back up front, same gap, Nolan Siegel a half a second.
Their lap times almost lay on top of each other. The front two, 106.9, third and fourth, 107.16.
Little lock up. Is that the squeal I heard? Was that from Siegel?
Sounded like just a little bit. The small witness mark on that left front, Firestone for Siegel. But he has consistently had a great exit out of turn 2, which sets him up to defend easily into turn 3 from Christian Rasmussen.
And on the same lap, we have 2 incidents being reviewed in the same corner, about a half a second apart, the 51 and the 47. Abel and Ahmed are being reviewed. Nolan Siegel has significant experience in the ladder system to get to IndyCar. He also has sports car experience. He's actually teamed with his dad, Mark, in the Michelin Pilot Challenge and raced here this weekend. And when I got to Nolan, you know, the first thought would be, well, Dad has been a gentleman race car driver, and he followed the family business. Actually, Mark got into racing when Nolan did. When Nolan started racing karts as a kid, a supportive father, Mark said, well, I want to try this out, and just so I can help my young son, and eventually got good enough at it that he started racing at the professional level in the Michelin Pilot Challenge and some other IMSA series. So that's really cool that they've had the opportunity to run together.
And it looks like the 7 car Christian Bogle still having some issues. He was in the runoff there in turn 1, which is what that yellow and green flag situation going on track. Consistently, Nolan Siegel gets a great jump out of turn 2 and is able to have a good run down to turn 3. So he's not defending, he's not fighting side by side, lap in, lap out.
Siegel is capped by a couple of tenths or so right now in Christian Rasmussen. We'll keep an eye on this, and we'll check in with Georgia.
Jagger Jones has made his way back to pit lane, and Jagger, you were just talking about the fact that the damage on the car was actually surprising to you. You didn't think it was that bad, so what led up to that moment?
Yeah, obviously just a lot of adrenaline going in the moment, but first of all, I'm just really sorry to the team. They gave me a great car for this weekend and was able to get a podium for them yesterday, and today had a chance at a top 10 with starting a bit further back, and I just lost the rear. I mean, it was so unexpected for me. Like, it came around so quick. I just really couldn't save it, and by the time I did catch it, I was up to the wall. But like you said, the cars are so safe, luckily. It seemed like a small hit, but damage-wise, it was pretty big. But I just want to say thanks to the team, and I'm sorry, and thanks to all the people, Total Sim, Mecum Auctions, that allowed me to do this, and just try to forget about this one and move on to the next one.
Moving on, indeed, that is Jagger Jones.
And Hunter McElray is trying to move on up into the podium, challenging his teammate. Remember, they had some contact yesterday. As we see again one more time what happened to Jagger Jones.
You know, part of that's inexperience, understanding that as these tires wear, there's way more grip on the racetrack today, but as those Firestones wear, you put power down, it's every chance the rear's going to step out on you.
That's such a cool section through there, and I say cool because I'm not the one driving it. That looks challenging.
It is, and there's a lot of elevation here for a street circuit. It's surprising how much elevation on a temporary street circuit. I keep calling it a racetrack, but let's remember, there are a lot of employees that take these roads every day to go to work at the Renaissance Center or other places downtown. So these are city streets up until just a few days ago.
And while it might frighten me, these drivers do embrace this. Every Indy NXT driver that I spoke to after the first practice session said, this track is really fun. We're enjoying the challenge of this.
It is very challenging and also very rewarding when you get it right.
McElray and Foster, and remember, the start of the race yesterday, they were 1-2. Nose to tail contact took them mostly out of contention. McElray did recover after a penalty to get back up to 7th. Looked much better for both today. Foster, though, is probably going to come off a little bit disappointed after starting on pole, running 3rd right now, trying to get just really his 2nd result of the season. He's qualified top 3 in all 5 races, but has just 1 result. The 2nd on the road course in Indianapolis. The others are 14th, 14th, and 19th, but clearly he's got the pace. That is why I am not dismissing him from championship contention.
When, as an indication of how tight the championship is, no one's really been consistently up front. With today's result, Louis Foster moves up 5 positions in the championship standings. He goes a lot further up the table just by finishing 3rd again today.
Let's listen to 51 Jacob Abel radio.
Good job, good job. He used a lot of push to pass to get you there. He's going to come again. Do the same thing. Great job. You have way more downforce than him. You should be able to outbrake him.
Good information, and Ahmed is not close enough to challenge this time around in that battle it's been waging most of the race for 7th position.
And even if Jacob Abel doesn't have more downforce than Ahmed behind him, I'm absolutely, if I'm on the timing stand, telling Abel he's got the grip to outbrake him into turn 3.
Little gap ahead of them up to Daniel Frost running in 6th. James Rowe having another nice run today with, I think, a car that is more solid. He had to survive a damaged wing early on yesterday and is running inside the top 10. And what a recovery for Ernie Francis Jr. He was back in 14th. He got around Reese Gold and has moved his way up into the top 10 today after finishing on the podium yesterday.
Started 15th, had to stop in pit lane to change a front wing, has come back, all dealing on race 2 with the surgically repaired wrist. I mean, he's still wearing a brace to protect that. They have done some custom work to fit that brace to the steering wheel. And he's doing a really good job. You know, there's still 15 laps to go, and I think there are a couple more spots available if things develop in front of them.
So we have a ruling on the second contact that we saw in the hairpin a little while ago. Christian Bogle has been hit with avoidable contact. The penalty is pending. He is a lap down at this point. That was the contact with Rasmus Lind.
And my perspective on that is he's definitely served a penalty because that contact meant that he slid way down the order. He served some sort of a penalty already. We'll see if the stewards deem it enough.
And the one that was being reviewed right in front of them, no action taken on Abel and Ahmad. That was from a few laps ago. Moment ago, let's watch Ernie Francis Jr. making his way. Keeps it off the wall. Big slide.
Just making sure you could read the side of that car as he goes through the corner.
And the gap continues to grow a bit for Nolan Siegel. He took the lead at the start of the race from 3rd to 1st. Louis Foster was trying to defend on Christian Rasmussen from the front, and Siegel came through the inside of that hairpin, and he's been in charge, trying to make up for the heartbreak of yesterday when he had a 5-second lead on the final lap, but a mechanical half shaft, lost drive, 2 corners from the finish, coasted to finishing in 8th. Siegel, Rasmussen, Foster, McElray, and Colin Kaminsky back there in 5th position. That would be his best finish of the season after a 6th at Barber.
Kind of a lonely 5th position there, Colin Kaminsky. Daniel Frost trying to rebound from yesterday's incident just behind that yellow and black car. You know, that orange and white Denjet car for Daniel Frost doing a really good job just running consistently. Well, these first 4 drivers, 3 seconds cover 4 cars. Talked about Nolan Siegel driving out to a 5-second lead after he was able to get by Reese Gold yesterday. It evaporated with 2 corners to go. We've talked about that. The fact that today it's much, much closer. Start 1st to 4th.
Still nearly a third of the way to go in this race, so the Firestones and how well you've maintained them very much could come into play. And then what we've also seen is that the car just has to last. That is not something that you can assume that the car is going to last through this bumpy street course race.
I think we'll hear from the driver of the 27 car, Hunter McElray. I don't know if it's what's going on, but he's talking about it.
No button. You got plenty of pace, no button. You'll need it at the end.
So they're telling him to stay off his push to pass because he'll need it at the end. They've got good speed. When they say no button, they're saying stay off the push to pass, stay off the button, stay off the button. not to save fuel or anything like that, but simply save it for the end. Think 5 laps to go, leave it all on the table right at the end.
Hunter McElroy is definitely someone that is thinking championship. Right now, 3rd in the championship, a championship contender last year, and certainly one of the favorites coming into this season. I think you'd have rated he, Christian Rasmussen, maybe Daniel Frost, maybe the rookie Louis Foster, who was so impressive last year coming over to America. All new tracks for him last year.
And one of the reasons he said he excelled in qualifying Friday afternoon here on the streets of Detroit was the fact that he had to learn new tracks and go out and qualify almost right away. So that he felt that was a benefit to him coming to learn a new racetrack on the streets of Detroit.
Jacob Abel, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, all pretty close together there at this point.
It's about 3 seconds from 7th all the way back to Matteo Nannini, a race winner earlier this year, back in 12.
Here's Ahmed taking a look, as he's done a few times. James Rowe trying to pounce. Now Ahmed almost gets the switch back. Abel is going to maintain the position.
The challenge of holding on to that over-under at the exit of turn 3 is turn 4 is a right-hander. So if you get the over-under done, you put yourself in a worse position going into turn 4. I am really impressed. I know I've said it already, but I'm really impressed with Ernie Francis Jr. Being able to hold on to the car. You talked with him earlier in the weekend. He said he thought he had about 70 to 80% mobility in his wrist. You know, he's got plates and screws holding that thing together, and he's got to hold on to this INDY NXT car through the bumps and the bounces, and he's already had a little contact today and is bouncing back really well.
He's right there on James Rowe in the Andretti number 29 Top Con car, the blue car in front of him. Reese Gold, yesterday's winner, we see in the background in that yellow and black ticket clinic car. Here's Ahmed trying again. One more time around the outside. Nose is right in front and is not going to be able to hang on. And James Rowe and Ernie Francis are both going to come through. And Abel also swings wide. So multiple changes there. Rowe has moved up to 7th. Now Gold.
Passed by Nannini with a late move into turn 4. Chucks it up the inside. James Rowe and Ernie Francis Jr. say thank you very much. We'll take those 2 spots and go on down the road.
So reset now. In this battle, it's Rowe, Francis, Abel, and Ahmed drops multiple spots. And then Nannini is right behind them. And then Reese Gold. Let's see it again.
They both get in there so deep, almost to the tires for Jacob Abel. Get out in the dust, and they just have to gather it up. And James Rowe and Ernie Francis Jr. say, okay, you exit stage right, I'll take the inside, take those 2 spots, thank you very much.
They both basically outbroke themselves.
Sometimes you forget that you have to make the corner to make the pass.
See a little bit of that Firestone rubbed off on the left rear of Ahmed there, too. They have been going at it for quite some time. And Ernie Francis Jr. has recovered from wing damage and a pit stop.
Starting 15th, wing damage, pit stop, all the way up to 8th.
Caution came out at the right time, right after he had stopped. That allowed him to pack up, but he has raced his way from 14th up into the top 10 now.
And James Rowe is up 4 spots from the start of the race as well. These 2 cars have been on the move all race long.
This might be one that Ernie Francis Jr. looks back to, that this might be the aha moment. He's had some solid races, and he had solid results at St. Pete and Barber, but this is where he's shown the best pace. He qualified well for race 2. He raced fantastically yesterday and is racing well again today.
You talked about having some of the IndyCar drivers tuning in to watch the starts. I think they would benefit from tuning in to watch how these INDY NXT drivers have raced each other as well. There's been some great racing, decent amount of respect, and it's stayed pretty clean. The yellow we had was not from contact between cars, but was simply from Jagger Jones making that mistake and ending up in the wall. there's been great racing from these young IndyCar hopefuls racing in Indy NXT.
We'll watch a little bit about how the track races. You're on your own, though, figuring out the blend on pit lane and exiting out from two sides. That is why, one of the many reasons why you want to tune in this afternoon at 3 o'clock on NBC. 3:30 green flag for IndyCar. Back downtown in Detroit for the first time since the late 80s.
That split pit is so unique. I think it's going to be something to watch all day long.
2, 3, 4 have stayed pretty glued together throughout the day. Rasmussen, Foster, McElroy. Oh, and into the wall we see is that Kiffin Simpson, who was already a few laps down, and this brings up a full course yellow.
That is not what Nolan Siegel wanted to see. I think he might have even moved the concrete barrier there. There's a definitely king from that contact. That's not ideal. We'll get a replay in the background. It'll be in the far side of the shot, just misses the corner, ends up in the wall. Nolan Siegel had pulled out to a couple-second gap over Christian Rasmussen. That'll be a race he'll have to sustain the pressure of another restart once again.
So that's turn 9, just past the pit entry. To come back on the main straightaway, the very short main straightaway where the checkered flag will be shown. The restart will come between, or really exit of 2, down to the long straight, headed towards 3. So we're probably only going to have 3 or 4 laps remaining. And Nolan Siegel has to be thinking, really? Shouldn't I just have a straightforward day after what happened to me yesterday with a mechanical 2 corners away from the finish line and a 5-second lead? And remember, the top 2 in this race are the top 2 in the championship, separated by 2 points as they run at the moment, with Rasmussen, the leader at this point. Will we get a 5th winner in 5 races? It is trending that way. Rasmussen has already won a race, though. McElroy is right back there. He has not, and Foster has not.
Coming into this season, we knew we'd have a much bigger car count. Cape Motorsports coming back, HMD running 9 cars. 19 cars on the grid. It's the first time we've had this many cars in quite a few years. And we've had 4 different winners in the first 4 races. And if it stays like this, that'll be a 5th winner. So I think it's really showing the depth of field in Indy NXT by Firestone this year. It's not just 19 cars to fill the grid, it's 19 competitive entries. And then you talk about graduates to IndyCar and the amount of the IndyCar grid, the amount of the Indy 500 grid last weekend that were graduates of Indy NXT as well. This is the best training ground.
And we're seeing that with the number of drivers that come from abroad as well, that maybe don't get where they were hoping in the Formula One ladder and realize, hey, this is a pretty good opportunity over here where your skill is likely rewarded a little bit more. There's always budget required. We get that. That's part of motorsport. But the better you are, the less budget is required often.
And as a racing driver, you enjoy racing. And the chance to take the equipment you have and go out and be successful, that opportunity exists a lot more in Indy NXT and IndyCar than anywhere else in the world. I think the on-track racing product we have here today is, I would put up against any other series in the world at the moment.
So nearing the start-finish line to see 4 to go. And whether we're going to be able, no, we're not going to be able to go green this time by, but maybe one more. They're getting very close.
They will likely stash that car in that break behind the wall there in turn 2 to to try and get back to green as soon as possible.
Great crowd gathered here today, and this is one of the reasons why the Penske Entertainment Group wanted to move this race back downtown. You had a smaller footprint to work with. Belle Isle, we love Belle Isle. We really enjoyed the racing, but it was challenging to get everyone on and off the island, and this opens it up to a bigger crowd. I love the way they've made more than half of the viewing possibilities free. If you're in downtown Detroit today, come out and join us. There are some free viewing stands where you can see portions of the racetrack. They've got a great public address system set up, lots of entertainment and fan zones. And then if you do want to invest a little bit, you can get into some really cool areas. Maybe you hang out with guys from Public Enemy when you're walking up there as well. So there are all kinds of surprises here in the Motor City.
Let's hear what the team's saying to Nolan Siegel getting ready for this restart.
Keep your head down, do exactly what you've been doing. Full push. Just have a good restart. Your pace is considerably be better than Christian, and we have more push to pass than all 3 cars behind you.
Yep, copy.
Man, he's 18. He doesn't seem bothered by any of
tires, lots of steps. Try push to pass. It will be enabled as soon as you cross over alt, start, finish.
So 1 to go at the line, which means they will restart next time by here on Jefferson Avenue.
So we have a green-white checkered coming up?
That's what it looks like. And based on the information from the 39 crew there to Nolan Siegel, he can use overtake. They said 4 full pushes, which means he can turn it on at the beginning of Jefferson Avenue, all the way down Jefferson Avenue, 8.5 football fields worth of push to pass 4 different times. He'll only have to do that twice to keep Christian Rasmussen behind him. They said they've got more push to pass than the 3 cars behind him. So if he gets a good restart, push to pass is not active first time by. Next time, he will be on the button as much as he can. Look at how much rubber has been laid down on this new racetrack. Started with brand new clean, and now it's rubbered up and looks like a good racetrack. Just like your buddy Flavor Flav would say, started at the bottom, now we're at the TOP, right, Kevin?
TOP, they're going up to the top of the hill there. He told me he'd be back today, so we're going to look for him.
Well, I think he'll be on time, right? If this clocks.
He has multiple timing devices available to him. He was fun, really nice guy. I bet we chatted for 10 minutes after the interview as well. And at some point I said, I think I probably want to go back to work here. All right, it's time to get back to work here to decide who is going to win the second half of this doubleheader. The streets of downtown Detroit. Nolan Siegel took the lead from 3rd in the opening corner of this race. Coulda, shoulda won yesterday before a mechanical. He's got 2 more laps to go. Restart. Siegel, Rasmussen, Foster, McElray, Kaminsky, down Jefferson Avenue, headed towards turn 3. This is almost 3/4 of a mile. 160 plus miles per hour. Who's going to get the jump into the hairpin?
Decent jump for Nolan Siegel. Louis Foster looking to try and find a way past Christian Rasmussen. Hunter McElray there as well. 2 wide. Colin Kaminsky trying to go the long way, and I think he's going to lose a spot or 2.
Daniel Frost gets a spot. James Rowe gets a spot as well. So Frost into the top 5. Ernie Francis gets another position. It all went wrong for Kaminsky. Trying to maintain his top 5 position. He's falling back, and he's right in front of his teammate Jacob Abel right now.
Coming to the white flag, Nolan Siegel just about half a second lead. Is all about holding on to that. He's going to be using the push to pass button this whole lap, trying to get as much gap as he can.
White flag, clear by 5 lengths. Use
They
as much as you want.
always talk about nerves and wanting to get to the finish. Accelerate those multiple times after what happened to Nolan Siegel yesterday. He had the race in command by more than 5 seconds. Looking towards his first win, 2 corners away. The car lost power. Last passing zone, the last simple passing zone is here. Does Rasmussen have any kind of run? He is not close enough. Into turn 3 in the hairpin for the final time.
You can see how much those drivers are working that car. The slowest corner on the racetrack down to first gear, and their hands are still unbelievably busy.
Rasmussen is still within striking distance, though. About 1 to 2 car lengths is the difference. On board, Christian Rasmussen looking up ahead to the race lead and the win. 2 corners to go in Detroit. This is where it went awry yesterday. Siegel up the hill, turn 9, 1 more corner to go. He'll graduate high school this week, and he'll do it as an Indy NXT winner. Nolan Siegel has won at Detroit.
What a great bounce back from Nolan Siegel.
Oh, man, guys, that was absolutely dominant. What a way to do it. Thank you.
Oh, how much fun to hear a first-time winner express the joy like that. Ernie Francis Jr. all the way back to 7th. Changes a wing. What a great weekend. Nolan Siegel, heartbreak yesterday, bounces back in a dominant win today.
Good race, dude.
That is a good way to sum it up. Nathan Toney, the engineer, one of the guys I saw in there, in the HMD crew. 18-year-olds, a pair of them, rookies in Indy NXT with a lot of experience in this series, have won back-to-back days. Reese Gold yesterday, Nolan Siegel today. Christian Rasmussen finishes 2nd to maintain the championship lead, but it is down to 2 on Siegel. Here's how they finish up today. Race 2, round 5 of Indy NXT by Firestone.
Largely uneventful for that first 4 or 5 in line. Nolan Siegel gets his first win. Christian Rasmussen holds on to the points lead. Louis Foster, after yesterday's incident with his teammate Hunter McElroy, finishing 3rd and 4th. Daniel Frost brings it home 5th and moves up a couple of spots in the points with that 5th place finish. James Rowe, great drive to 6th for Andretti Autosport. Ernie Francis comes back from starting 15th, broken front wing, all the way through to 7th.
Solid days for many. Great day for Nolan Siegel. Matteo Nannini gets his 2nd best finish of the season, the other being the win at Indianapolis. And then some others did not have the days that they wanted. Some, like Josh Green, just never got a chance. Transponder issue on the pace laps and started many, many laps down.
Big learning weekend for a lot of these Indy NXT drivers.
And now they get to enjoy IndyCar coming up here in about an hour and a half. 3:30 is the green flag, 3 o'clock airtime here on Peacock and on NBC. And then it's a weekend off. Everyone can enjoy Le Mans next weekend. And then we'll go to a track that has a lot of European flavor. Many drivers rate this as their favorite. Road America coming up the weekend of June 18th, Father's Day weekend. IndyCar and the entire ladder series, USF 2000, USF Pro 2000, and Indy NXT by Firestone will be at that 4-mile circuit in Elkhart Lake.
It's one of my favorite racetracks. It's a great race to go and watch, camp, enjoy a beautiful weekend in Wisconsin. And these podium drivers, Nolan Siegel, Christian Rasmussen, Louis Foster, get to celebrate in Hart Plaza right on the Detroit River, on the riverfront. The victory celebration and podium outside the fence of the racetrack, celebrate on the Riverwalk.
If you're going to win one in a doubleheader weekend, I prefer race number 2. You can really enjoy the win and not have to refocus immediately and think about race number 2. And that's the opportunity that Siegel has.
Unwrapping his hands there with 2 races on a bumpy track back-to-back like that. Maybe preemptive just to keep from blistering up, but also just take care of those hands a little bit. If they say you're only as good as your last result, Nolan Siegel's going to be pretty good for the next couple weeks.
Pretty good weekend for Ernie Francis Jr. as well. Podium with a repaired wrist.
You can see that bandage on his left hand, left wrist there, and having had that happen, had a brace, carbon fiber brace on my hand and racing. Street circuits are hard and they're bumpy, they're tough on the body. The fact that he had a double header on a street circuit, did a great job this weekend.
But Sunday belongs to the 18-year-old from California. Nolan Siegel is now a race winner in Indy NXT by Firestone.
Nolan Siegel climbing out of the car, the smile contagious as he's taken those checkered flags first. His first ever win in the Indy NXT by Firestone. And talk about a graduation present, getting your first Indy NXT by Firestone win. And after the events that ensued yesterday, how sweet does this victory feel?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, yesterday was obviously super disappointing. I think we deserved 2 this weekend. But to get it today after what happened yesterday, I think, you know, it's not losing, it's how you come back from a loss like that and how you come back from a bad day, and we came back from a bad day and won. So I think that shows a lot about our team, and I think we're going to be up here a lot more in the rest of the season.
You came back just as dominant. What does this say about you and your HMD Motorsports team?
I think it shows how well we're working together. I mean, all the mechanics, my engineer, Nathan, Charles, Cruz, my spotter and coach, I mean, we've all worked so hard at this all year, and I mean, all that hard work is really starting to pay off, so really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Hard work paying off indeed. Nolan Siegel is now a winner in the Indy NXT by Firestone.
And he has been strong in 4 of the 5 rounds. The only hiccup was when he started 16th and finished 13th on the road course at Indianapolis, and that has propelled Siegel to 2nd in the championship, 2 points behind Christian Rasmussen.
Hunter McElroy and Daniel Frost within striking distance. Daniel Frost's 5th place finish today, moving him up those 2 points in the championship standings up to 4th. It's tight from 3rd all the way back to 10th. Ernie Francis missed a race and still in top 10 in points. That big jump coming from Louis Foster being able to get on the podium today.
Let's hear from more podium finishers with Georgia.
Christian Rasmussen coming home 2nd. And Christian, can you walk us through that last restart from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it was pretty simple. I mean, everyone was good on push to pass, and we were all just spraying it, so we were just kind of all in the same boat. So I think I kind of knew that if nobody made any mistakes, it would probably end as it was, and it did. So it was a good race. Huge congrats to Nolan. He's been knocking on the door for that first win for such a long time, and he really deserves it. Obviously very excited for him as a friend, a little bit less as a competitor. He's super tight in the championship now, but that's what it's all about. So we keep pushing each other, and I'm sure we'll have great fights in the future.
No doubt that you were pushing this machine behind you. I saw you pointing at your tires over there. How hard were you pushing?
I was pushing pretty hard. I had a pretty decent lockup very early in the race, so I think that kind of numbed us a little bit in terms of performance, but still managed to get P2 today, which is great point for the championship. Me and Nolan are slowly just chipping away at it, and it's looking good. So I'm very excited to go into the next few races where I know we have a strong car, and into the rest of the season. So yeah, it's all good.
That is Christian Rasmussen. He comes home 2nd, and Louis Foster coming home 3rd today. Louis, how were you able to maintain such consistent speed through the duration of that race?
Well, I mean, we weren't particularly consistent, to be honest. I'm pretty disappointed with that race. You know, we got done around the outside at turn 1. Obviously wasn't able to complete the laps yesterday because of the incident, and that really destroyed our chances this weekend. Obviously, we had a really good a gap to the rest of the grid in qualifying. We had good pace, but everyone caught up with that gap because I missed out on 50 laps yesterday. So yeah, not particularly happy. Obviously, team's done an amazing job. Massive thank you to the guys to getting the car fixed. But yeah, this is a weekend that should have been really. We've had a lot of bad luck recently, and hopefully it turns around because our qualifying speed is there. But yeah, I don't know what to say really.
Nonetheless, Louis Foster ending up on the podium here in the Indy NXT by Firestone, race number 2 here on the streets of Detroit.
He does get his 2nd podium of the season. This was an eventful weekend and highly entertaining, Charlie.
Great drama all the way through. Great racing. Lots of respect between these drivers all weekend long in 2 races.
We'll see everybody at Road America coming up in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned. Peacock, NBC, 3 o'clock this afternoon with the NTT IndyCar Series. For Georgia Henneberry, Charlie Kimball, and Kevin Lee, thanks for joining us from Detroit.